some babies have great digestion, others do not. And this makes for a very miserable baby and a very miserable family because
And like foot massage
and
is what
so
helps.
they have this explosion afterwards. So
Before we get started with our episode, we're going to hear from our sponsor. It's 2025, and a new year means new opportunities. For a lot of y'all out there, I know you've been thinking about one thing over the holidays, and that's starting your own business. Shopify makes it easy to manage your growing business. They help with all the details like shipping, taxes, payments, all from one single dashboard. Their powerful social media tools help you connect all of your channels so that you can make shoppable posts everywhere that people scroll. With Shopify, your first sale is much closer than you think. Established in 2025. Has a nice ring to it, doesn't it? Sign up for your $1 per month trial period at shopify.com/Rebecca. All lowercase letters. Go to shopify.com/Rebecca to start selling with Shopify today. Now let's get started with this week's episode. For those that don't know, this is Elina Furman. And I didn't even know this was a thing. I'm so excited to learn so much. You invented the first baby massager, and you're a licensed infant, is it a massager or masseuse? Like, what's the actual
it's a
term?
certified infant massage instructor. So
Okay,
I can
okay.
teach parents how to massage their babies. Yes.
I love that.
Yeah.
I want to hear everything. Like, I'm so fascinated by this. And I have a lot of friends who just had babies.
Yep.
So I'm so excited.
Yeah.
So excited about this. So I want to know how you came to this job.
Yeah.
And like how you stumbled into it, how you decided this was your passion. And then I also want to hear what the licensing process looks like.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I'm going to stop talking because I ramble.
No, it's so interesting. I mean, I've had such a crazy journey. I mean, all of us have. I was born in Kiev, Ukraine. And there was definitely a tradition of massaging your child and a much more, I mean, they raise, the Soviet, it's all about Olympics and, so they're very hands-on when it comes to making sure they're raising really strong babies. But when I moved to the US, I actually started in publishing and I started writing books right out of college. And that's when I started publishing self-help books and books about how to survive a life after college. So I was always an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
And that was always my thing. I just didn't want to work in an office. I was in an office, but I would learn really quickly how to, for instance, I had an internship at a children's book publisher and I learned how to figure out how to do proposal, and that's when I started, selling my books to publishers right after college, which allowed me to stay home, and I was just so happy because I never wanted to go into an office. And then eventually, so I was writing a lot of books, and I was an editor of magazines and things like that. And then I had my first baby, my son Julian, and I was just totally traumatized.
Really? Oh no.
It was such
the first mom moment.
Oh my gosh. It was he had colic. I thought I was going to be this totally earthy Zen mom where it was all going to come to me naturally. And I never read a book because I was I'm going to be an expert. It's all natural, instinctive. No, it was not. None of it. So I was just floored, and I was working full time at home. And that's when I started doing a newsletter about where I would really highlight cool new products for parents. And after that, I segued into, I was doing marketing, and then I had a startup in Silicon Valley with someone. And then finally, I became a marketer for all these baby brands because I had so much experience with being a product expert with baby products. And so I launched a few big companies for the founders. And it was I was the second person, and I was doing all the marketing for them. And but all the products that I really worked on were just really about making mom's life easier. So it was really important for me because mental health, in terms of, I had postpartum issues, anxiety, all of it. And it was just so important because, mom and baby are so connected in the first year and the first, really, especially in 3 months, where they don't even know, the baby doesn't know they're separate from you. So your mood and your mental state has such an impact on your child and vice versa. And so it can become this feedback loop where if one's crying, you're crying, and then everyone's crying because nobody, it's a little bit of could be a mess if you don't, figure it out.
My brother was one where when we were really young, my brother was always in a lot of pain and he would get sick a lot, and my mom didn't know really how to help them. You know, obviously the doctors were very involved and things like
Yeah.
that, but there's only so much you can do. And so my brother was one of those that was just crying all the time.
Yeah, and they call it colic because it's like this blanket like
Yeah.
term for like everything. Like the same as like fibromyalgia is like a blanket term for like we don't know where your pain is coming from, or
You
like
have
yeah,
it.
or like yeah, and a colic is like your baby's crying for 3 hours a day. We don't know why. It's probably gas. He'll grow out of it. Or
So there's not actually like a definition for colic
there
because I've always
isn't.
heard that word and I never really knew.
It,
Okay.
it's and people suspect it could be sensory, like the fact that they could have sensory disorders and like they don't and like you have a shirt on and they
They don't
don't
like the
like
material.
they don't like the material, or that they have gas at a certain point in the evening because usually that the milk in the gas happens in the evening. So a lot of it is an immature digestion. That's why
Okay.
it works itself out by 4 months. But that's pretty much, and then sometimes it's reflux and they don't know why, and they give you medication now. But again, or they're like, or it could be that you're drinking milk, and so then
They
you
have
go
a
through
milk sensitivity.
and you go through all these elimination diets. But by the time you figure it out, you're insane. It's already been 3 months, and like
They kind of
you
start
haven't
growing out of
slept for like, and you just are like, I need to go see a psychiatrist. Like
Oh
that's
my gosh. So that's where like infant massage comes in.
So I was always all the products I worked on were about helping your baby sleep, really creating an environment where you would be a more together parent. And so after I left my agency that I started marketing all these brands, I really started thinking about like what was the main impetus for me, and like what would have made my life easier as a new mom, and because I knew the industry so well, and I realized with all the emphasis on organic products and wellness and like you can't feed your baby anything that's not organic. Nobody was talking about baby massage.
Yeah.
And I started because I was massaging because my son, my oldest, still now has like anxiety, and I would give him massage, and I realized as he was getting older how it helped him at night, even as an
Oh.
older kid. And I just started looking into how important it was for babies. I'm like, why in India do you have everyone hiring these women to come and massage your baby every day when in the US it's
They
not
don't even
even
know it's a thing.
no, it's
I
not
had
even a
no
thing.
idea. When I
Yeah.
found you, I was like mind blown. I'm like, I
Yeah.
have to talk to her.
Yeah.
I have to figure out what this is. Like, this sounds revolutionary
Yeah.
because, like, so simple. Okay, I'm gonna stop talking.
No,
I'm gonna
no,
ramble.
but
I'm
we
like
were
just
talking
mind
about like
blown.
how it's Valentine's Day, and like love is like touch is the first language,
Yeah.
and like and people assume that when you have a baby that you're automatically bonded with your child, and even though you're obsessed with your child and you're like have this survival instinct to help and then, help them with anything, and you're staring at them, that doesn't mean like you bonded with them. That only
Yeah.
happens over time, and because of your
The
um
touch and the
yeah, the
voice and
touch
the
and the
sensory.
serotonin and the hormones that are released through oxytocin when you're lactating or when you're touching your baby. That's why they say always put skin to skin contact. So massage is the one thing that's how you communicate your love to your baby. And that is how they communicate that, when you look at them and they give you an indicator. Because I always say you have to ask your baby for permission. Everyone's like, that's crazy. Why do you ask for your, because it's all about if you say, like, if you show them with your hands, you put together like it's time for massage, it's communication, it's like sign language. And they are like, all of a sudden they will like make eye contact with you, or they'll scrunch away and turn away, and
They'll notice patterns over
they
time.
notice, yeah, and you notice how they communicate, because as a new mom you're so frazzled, you don't tune into your baby in the same way that you tune into them when you're taking that 10 minutes or 20 minutes to massage them every day. So
I
that
love
builds if just that focused attention, because we're so distracted. Like you're distracted. I'm like a totally ADD. I'm always looking at like hearing my phone, and as parents, we're always distracted with our phones and everything. So this is like 20 minutes or 10 minutes that you can give on filtered attention to your child. So that's just the bonding. There's like so much other science behind like why it's an amazing practice, like from a physical growth, cognitive development.
What do you think would be some of the most important ones?
Yeah. So I think so with preemies, all the studies that they did were with preemies because you couldn't, it was the best way for, there's no other time when you have so many babies like doing one thing and that you can really study for a longer time. So Tiffany Field, she was a researcher from Miami Institute, Touch Institute, started that. And she would do all these studies on preemies and they grew and thrived and were dismissed from the hospital, discharged so much faster than the groups that were not massaged. So that's just like
Really?
growth. We're talking like
that's like data. That's hard data.
hard data. Exactly. So there's so much science behind it. Then there's cognitive behavior, for instance, and cognition. And so people say, oh, like baby massage can make your baby smarter. I'm like, absolutely. So what happens is your baby learns to, through that touch, to focus and attenuate to different stimuli for longer. And because they're not restless and because they have that sense of their emotional state is much more balanced, they are then able to focus and learn so much better. So in fact, it does, and they did studies where they did longitudinal studies where they measured babies' attention spans. And they even saw that your baby's attention span through massage is so much better than even when, because I used to read my kids' a book every night because it's so important. It's so much better than even reading to them every night. But I mean, if you can do all of the above,
You can do all of it. Yeah,
great.
That's the best
I
thing.
mean, but we're all frazzled, and
We're not
again,
human beings.
Yeah, we
Not
don't have
everyone's gonna
time
have time for all the things.
for the whole. Yeah, so I mean, it's just mind-boggling. Yeah,
Wow.
the information out there, the studies.
So how did you come to become licensed to
Yeah.
be an instructor?
So becoming a certified infant massage instructor is, for instance, it's not, you don't have to be a masseuse. So if you're studying to be a masseuse, that's a very different, I think that's a 2-year program or a 1-year program. And then you can get your neonatal certification. And then there's chiropractors who are neonatal chiropractors who do adjustments, and they're becoming so popular now. But that's a whole different
Yeah, it's a completely different
medical
field.
like yeah. So I took a certification course that lasted two days, and it and we went through all the that. So that's really how long it takes. So anyone could, like, if you're a nurse, and people email me all the time, they're like, how do I become a licensed instructor? I'm like, you can just go online and you go through these 2-day courses, and they're in person, but like you could do it virtually or you could do it in person, and have your certification to teach parents how to massage their baby.
So does the certification look different if you were to become an actual infant masseuse versus an instructor?
I don't think there's even
or is it just like a masseuse
I don't think
neonatal
there's there's a neonatal certification for like being a nurse.
Okay.
And then you could get different certificates that all of the nurses, neonatal nurses, get these type of certificates, so they can teach other parents how to do this, because it's not something that, and more they're beginning to teach that. But when I was in the hospital, you had a lactation specialist, you have a sleep specialist.
My mom was a lactation specialist.
Okay, so there you go, you know. So that was such a big, and it became such a big thing where there's a million lactation specialists, but still, infant massage instructors were not like the big thing.
Yeah.
When in fact you should be in the hospital, and they should teach you that alongside how to massage your baby, because you can help them with so many different elements and feel so much more empowered as a parent just by using your hands. It's amazing.
So where do you usually start when you start teaching parents?
Yeah.
How to
So
go
I
about
brought, I always carry my little baby, because it's when I do all my in social media, anything, I always teach on so this is the onesie I created. For instance, this is called the Massage Me onesie, and
That's so
it teaches
cute.
you all the massage strokes on the back and front. So like, this is just a fun little way of getting started, and all of it is just designed. So whenever I start anything, I always focus on sleep and gas, because those are the things. I mean, like, sleep is like the number one thing, and I do feel like lack of sleep for moms is like what causes all the hormonal imbalances and the anxiety and postpartum depression.
Yeah.
And so if you can figure out the sleep, and that's the other thing, there have been studies that show that baby massage creates a longer, deeper sleep with just such better REM for babies, and they will wake up still because they need to feed and their babies,
Absolutely.
but the quality of their sleep is so amazing. So I always start with the sleep massage, and it's as simple as like teaching parents that you can just rub from the top of their forehead to their nose, and this is a very calming, because I always say babies have FOMO,
Yeah.
and so if you just even rub your hand, it just forces, like, kind of creates this effect where it forces them to close their eyes because they're not staring at the lights, and you can use a tissue, and so it's like all these little like massage techniques. And this is, I call it, when you use the eyebrow trick, where you just rub their eyebrows, this from the inside to the outside.
I also love how descriptive you're being, because there are so many people that listen instead of watch. So I love
Yeah,
keep
yeah,
doing what
yeah.
you're doing.
So absolutely. So you just going with using your index fingers from the middle of the forehead and drawing out to the temples. It's just such an easy way to get them to fall asleep. But just doing a 5 minute like general massage in general, where you're just going down, rubbing down the body, and then you do a C hold where you're just massaging and doing a full body massage. It lowers their cortisol levels, which is the anxiety, and increases serotonin, and it just makes them feel bonded and connected to you, and so they don't feel as, because when you separate a baby from the parent, like they feel like they're all of a sudden flailing alone in the world.
Yeah.
So they feel most comfortable when they're literally on top of you. So by giving them a 10-minute massage before bed, you're all that stimulation and input makes them feel like securely attached, and that's super important. And then the massages that are super simple, like doing a clockwise belly massage, and just you going around with 3 fingers and using a medium pressure. And then there's like the I love you massage stroke, where you do an upside down L, and then you do a U. So all of those massages are just so easy to learn, and like you can even follow me on social media, and in like 5 minutes you could become a massage expert with your baby. And I have these socks because of reflexology as well. So like one of my videos, so when I was massaging the baby's feet, so it went to 24 million views, because because people were like, this is the most amazing thing, just by massaging like the inside of their foot, and like this is the solar plexus, and making circles here. Because babies, again, the digestion, some babies don't poop for 8 days, and like I've had stories, my baby hasn't pooped for 10 days.
Wow.
And people are like, well, that's crazy, how can that happen? And it happens all the time. Some babies have great digestion, others do not, and this makes for a very miserable baby and a very miserable family.
It's 2025, and a new year means new opportunities. For a lot of y'all out there, I know you've been thinking about one thing over the holidays, and that's starting your own business. But you probably also have a lot of questions. How do I get started? How do I come up with a brand? How do I sell stuff to people? And what am I even going to sell? Take a deep breath, because Shopify's got you. Shopify makes it easy to manage your growing business. They help with all the details like shipping, taxes, payments, all from one single dashboard, which allows you to actually focus on the important stuff like starting and growing the business. Their powerful social media tools help you connect all of your channels so that you can make shoppable posts everywhere that people scroll. With Shopify, your first sale is much closer than you think. Established in 2025. Has a nice ring to it, doesn't it? Sign up for your $1 per month trial period at shopify.com/Rebecca. All lowercase letters. Go to shopify.com/Rebecca to start selling with Shopify today. And
Because
like foot massage is
and
what
so
helps
they
you?
have this explosion afterwards. So these parents would be like massaging and this also works for adults, by the way. And that's what they discovered. That's why it went so viral, because they would start massaging themselves, because like for constipation.
It's on their foot.
At these
Oh my
reflexology points. So this is also like all these like things are based in like ancient Ayurvedic, like Chinese acupressure medication. And while I'm not
That's
like a Chinese
fantastic.
doctor, I know enough tricks that are important that I can come over and like kind of troubleshoot like a baby and do whatever it takes.
So
to, like,
what is the
naturally.
is it like a 5-minute or a 10-minute reflexology on the
It
foot?
really depends on the baby, because some babies like will love it, and other babies have sensory issues. Like everyone thinks like I love a massage. I'm sure you do. You love a massage?
Love a massage. Not everybody does. Not everyone likes to be touched.
Right.
Babies
Or like
are gonna be the same
takes
way.
time to get
Yeah.
used to it.
Yeah.
Like the first massage, you're like, weird. This is so like,
Yeah, it's different. You're not
right.
used to like
Or
someone
you're like,
putting
is
their
that
skin on
normal?
you.
Someone's like touching me.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
like, so it's the same with babies. Like they need to like in India, like these babies are massaged like day one. They know that this is gonna, they're so excited and they're like, they know this is coming. But when you're not used to having that sensory input, you're not gonna be like so excited. So a lot of parents would email me like, my
Baby
baby's
steps.
broken. Yeah. And my like baby's broken. He hates massage. Like he won't stop moving. And I'm like,
Baby
you
little
really, yeah,
steps.
do it 2 minutes at a like, and every baby's so different that
Yeah.
it's not going to happen. Like they're not gonna love it that
Overnight.
second. Yeah.
So when it comes to like the reflexology foot massage,
Yes.
what is like a 5-minute routine you think
Yes.
that will just help those
Yeah,
constipation
so as
issues?
you can see, I have these like little I
The
created the
socks.
little massage socks, and
And it
it
shows
has,
you like a little roadmap.
yeah, it gives you a little roadmap because again, like you could just watch a video, but it's nice to have, like, it's a great little gift, to get people inspired to do massage. So the toes are connected to the sinuses and the teeth. So if your baby's teething, you could just simply do a little toe massage. Then the lungs, if they're respiratory issues, you want to massage using medium pressure, this area,
The ball of their
the
foot.
ball of their foot, and then the solar plexus is right at the fleshy point right below the ball of their foot. And this is like this massaging little circles around just that area, whether it's your foot or your baby's foot, honestly relaxes them so much. And and so many babies are just restless, like they just come into the world and they're more restless and fussy than other babies. Like, exactly. Like you never know what baby you're going to have. So some babies just sit there and lie there and just so content to look out and just wonder in the world, and they're a little mobile. But other babies are much more high maintenance. So doing that massage, we're just massaging the solar plexus. And then here we have the connection to the upper abdomen and the lower abdomen.
So it's like right under the,
yeah,
like
right
under
under
the ball.
the ball, right above the heel. So you'll want to just drag your finger across from the outside of the foot to the inside of the foot, and you can just do that repeatedly until you really can almost hear your baby, like their stomach will sometimes just start moving.
Wow.
Yeah, and the pelvis is great for just for creating a lot of times they have a lot of tension because they're holding in all that milk. And so if you combine the foot massage, then you do the massage that follows the digestive tract on their belly, which is a clockwise massage. Um, and then sometimes you could do right afterwards, you have to create space in their hips and abdomen. So what I'm doing now is I'm taking their leg and I'm creating the space because you need to create movement. So almost like stretching them and then
stretching
you
their
bending.
legs,
Yeah,
and
and then bending. So this creates that stretch and then the bend. And then
like pulling their
yeah, it's
legs
like
into a ball, into
pull
their
up,
body.
yes, into a ball. And then you create a figure 8 with their legs because this helps their hips. Because babies are pretty static all day. They're not moving around yet when they're super little, 0 to like 6 months. They're not crawling. They don't have that mobility. And mobility is what allows you and develop the digestion to really move all that fluid in your body around so it can digest. So if you imagine that your baby is, just lying in one position, like no one poops lying down. Like,
Right.
so I have a lot of in my book, 101 baby hacks that just came out. So I have these little tricks where you can put your baby in a potty position just by holding their feet together and helping them squat, just like that. And that really also impacts them. So there's all these little holistic tricks. So basically, it's just so one, it's a lot of massage, and two, little tricks that are holistic. So you don't have to do the medication, or, I mean, there's obviously things with babies where there's reflux and you do have to have, I'm not against Western. Yeah, I'm not against Western medication, but if you can do it holistically and help your baby without calling the doctor and help them get more comfortable, you feel more empowered as a parent, which is the number one thing. Because I was just so flabbergasted by all the things I didn't know, and I couldn't help my baby stop crying, and that's where you feel the most helpless. Like that's when you feel like
absolutely.
like I'm not up for this job. Like I'm doing something wrong.
I don't have kids,
As a
so like
parent.
I don't know. But I know my friends who have had babies, like sometimes if there's a problem and they don't know how to fix it on their own, they're like,
Yeah.
"Am I failing as a mom?"
Yeah,
Like, no,
exactly. But
you're
you
not.
feel that way. Yeah.
And I can't even imagine how helpless that must feel for women. So like this is so
And you're alone.
fascinating.
And you're alone. And a lot of the time, and now we have social media, like thank gosh you can go online, you can find some advice, but this is just a lot of times people don't have the resources, the information they need to really figure it out.
Wow. So
And
what is another problem that like you found this holistic approach like really
yeah,
helps and can
so
just save the day for so
yeah,
many moms?
so colds, and so another thing, we're in cold season, we're just talking about.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, and I had the worst sinus infection, and I was just
Oh,
like, it's and all the kids are out of school right now. I heard
yeah.
like none of them are even like there's months
They're
where
all
like
sick.
yeah, they're
sick.
all out like for months. And so babies don't have the capacity to cough. They don't have that reflex when they're really little.
Interesting. I did not
Yeah,
know that.
yeah. So I didn't know. I found out all this much. I wish I knew it. That's why I created all these products, because I wish I knew all of this.
Did you wish you knew when you were in the
I wish I
moment as
knew.
a
Yeah,
mom?
yeah. So there's a lot of for instance, this massage where you're just doing on the heart, where you're starting at the base of their neck, right on their chest, and you trace a heart to their shoulders, just right down to the top of their belly, and you just do this massage, and this helps with all the fluid that gets congested in there, because there's so much fluid that gets trapped. And so that's something that a lot of parents don't know, and a lot of parents don't know that like tapping the back. So when I invented, that's why I invented the collar, because a lot of people ask me like, oh well, if massage is all skin to skin contact and it's so important, why would you invent a tool, a massage tool? Because it's all about skin to skin contact.
It's not all about that though.
Well, we know through Theragun, and
Right.
I had like Fast Company ran a story, called it like the Theragun for babies,
That's so
and it was really
cute.
great. And a lot of parents don't know that, and how I learned about all this. Respiratory therapists, doctors, give parents adult vibrators to take home to
Oh.
help their babies with cough and congestion.
Oh.
So
Oh, okay.
hello, right? Hello. So, so when I learned about all of this, I was like, wow. So then,
Ah.
yeah, and everyone was like, oh, how dare they use a vibrator?
Oh my God.
And it was like a horror of horrors, like
A
something
whole scandal.
scandal, like scandal. I mean, like
What
these
do
are
what are they doing? They're not tricking you. They're giving
not,
you a
and
tool
these
that you
aren't
need.
used vibrator. These are like they're giving you a tool, a vibrational tool. And yes, unfortunately, the only thing they had at the time,
Right.
before I invented it, was an adult vibrator, and it was the pressure was much stronger than
Yes,
than
than what an infant should have.
than if,
That makes
so
sense.
I'm like, of course we need to create a a
Yeah.
tool, a vibra, and so a lot of respiratory therapists and doctors understood like immediately what I was developing, and
That's
then
amazing.
and physical therapists and occupational therapists who work with vibrations and tools with, because my kids also had low tone, and we had to work with like a lot of providers in terms of getting their tone so they can eat properly and latch properly, all of that. You use tools that vibrate.
Yeah.
So they understood it instinctively as well. So a lot of the customers that I work with are like therapists, pediatric specialists who work with this population. And so it was really funny, because at first they're like, why are you like, this looks like a vibrator for, like, I'm like, no, but the only way to dispel a lot of their mucus and fluid is by tap. You could tap, and that's what they used to do, or you can use the Calm Me. And like, I'm not saying you need this product to help your, but it is
For kids that have issues with congestion, that's a helpful
and it's just a wonderful soothing tool. So what happens is, a lot of times, I wanted to also create it because vibrational, there were no vibrational teethers also on the market. And so I wanted to, so what happens if you give, I created this, I designed, I sketched all this myself. I worked with an industrial designer
Yeah.
to kind of create the vision. But I sketched it all out because I wanted a very thin neck, so babies can hold it and put it in their mouth. So as soon as they get it, they put it right in the mouth, and that vibration is so soothing. So essentially it becomes this one product. So that's another thing that parents don't know, is that doing these kinds of rhythmic vibrational massages on their chest, especially during these cold seasons.
On their chest in the front or on their back?
Both.
Okay.
Both. So, and I remember you mentioned the cerebral palsy. So I've had a lot of moms who, because what happens is with cerebral palsy, especially with those babies, there's a lot of fluid. They even have products that where you stand and they vibrate because they need to shake out a lot of the fluid that gets trapped.
Fascinating.
So this product also is used a lot with babies who have cerebral palsy. And there was one time a mom contacted me, and she was telling me how her son Ryder had a stroke at birth, and so what happened was he couldn't use his right hand. He wasn't. She had him in for like 15 months to occupational therapy, all kinds of therapies, trying to get him to use this whole side of his body. He had never used his right arm. And so then she saw the Call Me, and she just, because she understood like massage, and she understood like how important it was for his tone,
So
she
got the
ordered
little
it.
massage tool.
So she got it. So she put it down and next to him because and all of a sudden he reached for it, and it was the
With
first
his right hand?
it was the first time he had ever reached for anything or like went to touch anything with his right hand. And then he never let go of it apparently since, and he's still like, so I talked to her. I'm like, she can have all the Call Me's. Like, I'm like, the fact that that happened and that it helped so much, that's
amazing.
what it is. And it's just been, I'm trying.
Was it like the vibration sensation,
The
like just
vibration.
intrigued him, or?
Well, vibration is like all babies and all products have like swings, have vibrations, because
Right.
in the womb, when your baby's in the womb, they have natural vibration of like whether you're walking, there's just a natural, and the sound of your voice creates vibrations.
Right.
It's called stochastic resonance, and so that's why there's vibrations on everything, because it's instantly soothing to babies. So the thing is, there's never been a tool that vibrates that baby could hold by themselves. There's vibrational
Things that you
ribs
can put them in,
right. And I call it containers because, and I use containers because a mom needs her time.
Right.
And mom needs it because now there's all this judgment about you can't put your baby in the container. Oh, but when you'll see like anything.
Mom shaming is a real thing.
It's like the biggest
in mom
thing.
communities.
Nonstop, like you can't do anything right as a
like
mom.
The most, for women who don't have children, and this isn't a blanket statement, so no one can come for me. But for women who don't have children, the idea of like mom shaming is such like a scary of, God, do we even want kids? Like everyone's gonna like,
it's significant. Like you almost have to like deliberately like
scary.
have your circle small with supportive friends and like and mother-in-laws and know their place.
And even like posting anything on
social,
it's like everyone's gonna yell at me. And like, I think there's a difference between moms seeing an actual dangerous situation, and saying like,
that's
hey,
dangerous.
We need to like cut this or curb this or XYZ. And it's completely different when it's like an opinion based. Oh, you're giving your baby formula.
Right.
Oh, you're putting your baby down in a container. Like,
the baby's crying and you're letting them cry for 2 minutes because there's the other, and again, don't come for me because I'm all about attachment, but there's too much attachment sometimes where parents will shame each other. Like if you let someone if you let your baby cry for 2 minutes, when in France it's an actual thing, like it's called la pause. It's in the book where you don't come into the room. So what happens is babies move through different REM stages, and it looks like they're awake, but they're just going into a different deep sleep stage. And so what happens is a lot of parents hear their baby crying. They're so anxious. They go in. They wake the baby up. Okay, so that's why the French call it la pause. So you give it a minute or two and you wait to see if your baby settles back down. So I have been accused of, or like talking about this, that like you can't let your baby cry for a minute or it's child abuse. Like
no, oh my. So fun fact, I actually went to college to become a teacher. But so like, I remember in child development classes, we literally learned the different kind of, interactions that a baby can experience and how that will develop its psyche. And there's no good or bad side. It's really about a balance. So when a baby cries and you let it cry for too long, that creates harm. But when a baby cries and you go too quickly and it gets used to that,
Equal harm.
also creates harm.
Yep.
It's not a good thing.
Any
so,
extreme.
right,
You could-
any
I think
extreme
that's
is
pretty
bad.
much-
Yes,
You can
any
just use
extreme is
that.
bad.
Yeah, across the
Because it will develop abandonment issues if you let it go on too much, but it will create attachment issues if you go right away.
That's
And
right.
so many moms that shame for letting them cry it out, or shame for going immediately, like, or shame for checking on their baby and not letting them cry. Like,
Yeah.
it's so,
Yeah.
I don't understand how they don't understand that a balance is necessary. And that's easier said than done. You know, no one's a perfect
And you're going to
parent.
get it wrong one day,
You're
and
gonna
then the
get it
next
wrong
day
every
you'll
now
get
and
it right, and that will be the balance.
Exactly.
And then it's not going to be. You
Exactly.
can't be balanced every moment of every day.
Exactly.
And your and then people forget, like, the mother's mental state is
She
one
just
of
had
the
a baby.
and
She's
it
not
is one of the
sleeping
biggest
either.
predictors of your baby's future like how well adjusted your baby is going to be, and their emotional
Exactly.
quotient and
Exactly.
their ability to deal with stress, deal with you know any kind of life situation that isn't perfect, because life is not perfect,
Exactly.
and how they how they come
Exactly.
back from difficulty. Because if they're crying and they fall down and you rush to always help them that second, which is, I have sometimes, like, I made my kids too many, like my husband's like, don't keep making them all this stuff, like let them do it themselves.
Exactly.
That's enabling. And so it's the same thing. You really need a balance.
And it's so interesting when moms get on each other about, like, you should XYZ, and it's like, no, mind your business.
So a lot of those moms who are doing the shaming are the ones who are the most insecure,
Yes,
because
I
they
feel that.
like that's how they
I feel that.
feel
Like,
good about themselves.
they feel like they need to do right by someone else, and that will mean they're doing right by them. No, just do what's best for your baby.
Right.
Like, even you reminded me of my mom when she sees a kid fall.
Yeah.
And you know, kids, they're so manipulative. Babies and toddlers, they're so manipulative in the cutest way.
Like,
You're not, well,
because, but like, and that's because your baby is crying. They're not trying to manipulate you.
well, it's not that they're, you
Right.
know what I mean.
Because no,
Like,
I
they're
know
not-
what
they're
you
not
mean,
doing
but
it on
you're not. I'm just
purpose.
saying you're
Someone's
gonna
be upset.
People are
Someone's
gonna
be
they're
upset.
looking at you.
It's fine. They can side eye me. You know, when babies, like, there's this whole trend on
Yeah.
TikTok of, like, holding your baby and, like, hitting the table. Oh, are you okay? And they'll just start crying.
Yes.
Because they think they're like, oh, attention, or they'll fall.
Right.
And they'll look for someone's reaction.
They're like, "Are you gonna be help me?" And
Exactly. And they look for that.
Yes.
They do.
Because you're the barometer of the world,
Mhm.
and if you're not like a normal, well-adjusted person, I mean, not no one's well-adjusted. And I
Everyone's
say
figuring it out.
everyone's
Everyone's
messed
doing their
up.
best.
I
Everyone's
mean,
doing their best.
but I mean, if you allow the self-criticism and the shame to overcome you, that's the thing that
Right.
you don't want.
So my
your
mom,
baby.
what she does whenever she sees a little kid, like especially a toddler, fall, of course you take like a beat to make sure it's not actually serious. You got to like very quickly analyze the
Yeah.
situation. But once you determine
Right.
like, no, they're
Right.
fine. That was a good trick. That was a great trick. And then they 9 times out of 10 just like they'll start the cry, but then they see the good trick and they're like,
excited. They think they entertained you.
right. They get excited and they're like, they're fine, and they go on doing exactly what they were doing.
They're just feedback seekers.
exactly.
All they want to know
Just
is like,
want-
all they want to know is like,
They
did I
want
do
the
well?
dopamine. They want that dopamine kick so badly.
They don't know anything. They're just little tiny things that come into this world. So our reactions are so important.
So what are some other things when it comes to whether it's baby massage or a baby massage instructor
Yeah.
that the general public or even parents might just don't understand?
Yeah. I just think it's the number one thing is that how easy it is to learn. That's why I started all this, is because I talked to a lot of parents and they were like, oh, well, I have to learn, I have to take all these courses, and it's great, take the courses because it's like something to do with your baby, because
Yeah.
there's too many hours in the day, and like the
Yes.
days get so long when you're baby, and so massage is something nice to do together. So but you don't need to be this perfect, like they think that they'll hurt their baby or they don't know how to touch a baby. Like I always say, like there's a million ways you're holding and massaging your baby every single day. Like your massage is just a more intentional way of doing that, of touching your baby.
Yeah.
You hug, caress them every million times a day. And so you don't have to be like this there's no, like, there are some techniques, and like you can pick up those techniques and like maybe an hour, or watching a video 30 minutes, and you can't, the perfectionism is really the enemy of love and happiness and satisfaction,
Yeah.
maternal satisfaction. And that's why I always say you don't have to be this perfect being or learn, go through like education. You really just have to make sure to listen to your baby, let your baby be your teacher.
Yeah.
Let them be this. They should be leading the way, because massage is not only a great way to help them and develop emotionally, neurally, cognitively, especially in the first 3 years. It is something that it's teaching you how to communicate with your baby, and your baby is connecting them with you. So it's just look at it as communication, and you don't have to be perfect. And if you miss a day, or if your baby starts crying and doesn't like it that day, just stop. Like, let the baby lead you, and it's in your hands. The power is in your hands. It's a free thing. Like, you don't need, I mean, you really don't need anything but your hands to massage your baby. And what else can you say in the world that is free and is like so powerful than like and then baby massage, or any type of massage that you can do. And it's great for when they're older, because a lot of people ask me, oh, when do I stop massaging your baby? I'm like, well,
when does it stop helping them?
what when I'm like, do you like to get a massage? Do you like a massage? And so, like, as long as they will let you, especially when they get older, they're gonna tell you, mommy, I'd like my feet massage before bed, or I want a back massage while you're reading me a book. And like, we do, that's a wonderful way, because as they get older, kids have other issues, sensory issues, anxiety disorders. We have like the biggest anxiety epidemic amongst young people, right?
Yeah.
Because we don't have, think about it, we don't have that sense of touch, where everything is digital, social. We're all, no matter who you are, unless you're living on a farm or like in somewhere without a wireless connection, like, we're all distracted,
Right.
in a way that we've never been before.
Right.
And so this is all caught, and our kids have more screen time. And I'm not going to even like judge, because no one's judging, because
Yes.
but touch is that last thing that allows you to have that connection with them, and to be able to touch them and connect with them and have that eye contact that you need for that social emotional part that they don't have. So it's just, so that physical connection is so important, and that also emotional connection, and it doesn't go away because they're older. In fact, they need it more sometimes as they get older, because they also have muscle development and a lot of growing pains. So
as I assume, as would anyone who is doing in the mom sphere or in childcare sphere, I'm sure there's a lot of people who don't understand what you're doing and have a lot of critiques and criticisms and a lot of misconceptions about what you're doing and what you're teaching. What are some examples of those? And then what are your answers to those as well?
Yeah. So one, I think the main one is that why do my baby need, I always get said that, why does a baby need a massage? My babies grew up perfectly well, and I never massaged them. And I'm like, of course they're gonna. That's, you probably hugged them and kissed them, and you did, you had a
still love
connection with
them.
them, right? Like, it's
I'm not saying that without it they're gonna turn out bad.
Exactly.
It's just helpful.
It just enhances the already, and it makes everything. So whether you're already spending a lot of time connecting, reading to your child, so they're getting all that input from and in terms of literacy, because reading, we know, helps with early language acquisition and so on, so many important things, and reading later on. Just like this it's just going to boost wherever they're already at. It's just going to boost them even more. So if you already feel bonded with your baby, that's not going to you're just going to boost that love. It's just going to make that love even greater, and it's going to make that their sleep even better. So if they're a good sleeper, they'll sleep better. If they're not a good sleeper, they'll sleep better. Their digestion will be better. It's just, there's no downside, is what I say, to massage. It's like taking vitamins, right? There's no, so the other question is like with vitamins, like they're like, well, I did the massage once, it didn't work. I'm like, well, what do you mean it didn't work? Like, it's a practice. It's not like you don't take a vitamin one day and say, you're like, oh,
Well,
all my
I took a
markers,
vitamin C and I got sick. Like, I took it that one time.
all my blood markers came back negative after that. I took that one vitamin 10 years ago. Yeah, no, so it's a consistent practice.
Yeah.
Like, just like yoga will be a consistent practice or a meditation, and you want to do that because over time there's a cumulative impact over
Right.
time. It's not like a
Exactly.
one and done. So with your baby and your child, like that time you spent, it's all a cumulative impact. So the more you do it, the more committed you are, the better it will be. It doesn't mean you have to do it every single day or you're a horrible parent. Again, people are so hard on themselves.
Yes.
Just try to do it as much as like you could. And the fact is, the other misconception is like you don't have to create a whole Zen environment where I love to do that because it's so good for me. But like where you light candles, like and music, which is wonderful. But you can do it, for instance, when you're with your baby.
When you're watching TV.
Watching TV, or they're sitting, you can massage their feet. When you're in the car and you're sitting next to them, you can massage their arms and their palms, which is super relaxing. You can do a face massage. So we didn't talk about like a lot of the massage with the lymph nodes, and that helps with the congestion as well. Just massaging the sides of their nose, drawing out to their ears, down their neck. All of that clears, so all congestion. So and you can do all these massages while you're just like casually hanging out with your baby. It doesn't all have to be a 20-minute routine.
Interesting. I've never understand that mentality, and it just feels so toxic, and I don't understand the pure aggression and defensiveness with it. When people these days, older people these days, whether it's parents, grandparents, whatever, have this idea of, and it doesn't even have to just be about baby massage. You know, well, when I was younger, we didn't have all this Adderall and ADHD stuff. We didn't have baby massage. We didn't have all these social programs, and we all turned out fine. And it's like, okay, great, you turned out fine. No one's saying you're gonna die without it. No one's saying you're not gonna become an adult without it. But like, why?
What about the quality of your life? Nobody can measure that.
Exactly. Like, if it's going to make life easier, why are you so angry about that? Like, great, okay, this wasn't around for you.
Then they have to admit that they could have done something better.
But even if something wasn't around at the time,
yeah, like, I don't know why people just feel like they have to knock the next generation because they just feel like we didn't do it and it's fine, and like it's like this pride thing. Like,
well, back in the day, your ancestors didn't have cars, or you would choose to walk everywhere.
Exactly.
Like, I don't understand.
Or like when the food where they say we used to eat, you know, all this Gatorade, but then you look at the ingredient list, and the Gatorade used to have like 5 ingredients, and now it has like 30.
Yeah.
Like, so like
it's not. These aren't the same things.
Yeah.
Like,
it's not the same times. It's not the same things. It's a different. Like, kids are exposed to so many different things that maybe would help them even more, especially since our kids, my kids especially, they've just way too much screen time right now, and like that's a counter to that.
Right.
You know.
Okay, so what? Someone wants their life to be easier. Who cares?
Right. Yeah.
Why does that hurt
Why do you have to judge everything?
that people want their lives to be easier than you had it?
Yeah.
Why is that a bad thing? Like, you can be, I don't even know what word I'm looking for. You can be regretful isn't the right word I'm looking for, but you can wish that you had something like that in your life. You can wish that you didn't have to go through a tough time.
Yeah.
Why is it that just because you did, everybody else has to?
Right.
Or you have to knock someone for not wanting to go through a tough time? Why do you have to knock someone for wanting their life to have more quality, for wanting their life to be more fulfilled or easier? Why do you have to be that? It's hateful, really, is what it is. Like, you want other people to struggle.
Suffer. Maybe, because it's like, well, I had to go through all this, so you should go through. When in fact, like when I started all this, it's because I did struggle with everything. I didn't want people to suffer from the same things that I had. So it's just the difference between, I guess, different types of people. Like, some people, and everything I've always done, like whether it's writing books, like I've gone through this experience and I'm like, well, I want to help this person go through it so they don't have to deal with, like, maybe it'll be a little easier for them.
Yes. And so something that you will understand very well is, and that I understand from my days as a teacher, is that when you work with parents, most of the time your interactions are really great. There are times when parents can feel very defensive, whether it's about them or their child, and it typically tends to make them lash out a little bit, and it makes your job a little bit more difficult. I get it. Do you have any experiences with that as a way? Because a big theme on my podcast is, hey, this is how we're like treating people in different occupations. Maybe we should
Right.
know this thing exists and we
Yeah.
should not do that. So do you have any examples that you would feel comfortable sharing?
Well, I feel like when I see, mostly I interact with people, parents, it's online and through email and so on. And I just feel a lot, some parents, when they do have criticism of, what, massage or anything else, or like the massager, it's always about, that they feel that they're not doing it right, or their baby is like, they always say my baby's broken, and they're like, and they get very upset, like or
Why
you're
is this not working?
right, it's not working, and it's like your fault because you're promising me that this is going to work. And I'm like, well, there's no guarantees in life ever. Like, I mean, and your baby will change 30 times in one day. Like, they're evolving in the first 3 years, they're forming all these neuron connections. They're growing at an exponential rate, their brains, everything, right? In the first 3 years of life. And you expect that like your baby is going to be the same way today that they are tomorrow, and you get upset like when they're not reacting in the same way, and you're like, this is broken, my baby's broken, nothing's working for me. And they just blame, like they need to have someone to blame, like, and they just lash out by saying things, or like just comments online, which I've learned, but especially dealing with parents, new moms, and that we're just we're so, as a generation, and as a society, they've so little support, they've so little, in terms of their families, and everyone's like scattered, there's no villages anymore. And I don't blame them because they're just struggling, so I never take it personally.
Oh, absolutely. Right. Yes. Correct.
But it's just hard.
And
Yeah.
especially there's a whole layer of like parents trying to figure out how to parent.
Yeah.
That is such a stressful experience for them. Like they're not thinking straight.
No.
They're grasping for straws. They just want answers. They just want to do right by their babies.
Yeah.
I tend to think parents in that mindset are definitely more justifiable than parents when their kids are 16 just blatantly lying or not doing work and it's the teacher's fault. But
oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. That's where we're at now. Yeah. And I'm always, I think, gosh, I have one. Yeah.
It's a lot. It's a lot.
It's a lot. And it is hard, I mean, just like raising kids, just like it really starts, and it really forces you just to become more flexible and to understand that and stop being a perfectionist as much. And that's where I really hope parents just take away that in general, because like the less you try to engineer an outcome with your child, whether you want them to be like this, or to feel like this, or to look like this, or to excel in this way, like it's just, the more you can let go and surrender, the more then you could have a more balanced state of mind, which will invariably rub off on them, and they'll be better adjusted kids, because that's really, in the end, like my husband thinks I'm a more of a lax parent, but I just like, I live and let live. You really have to, I mean, thank gosh he's gonna lay down the law, but I'm just like, they have to find their own way, and let everyone be free, and like find their own way. And as long as they know that I love them, and they can come to me with anything, like that's, I'm like, that's a win. I think that. I hope, like,
I love that. I mean, everyone, I say this all the time. Everyone has ideas on what is best for their child. And everyone wants children, whether it's students, infants, whatever, everyone wants the kids to succeed and do well. And people might have different ideas at what that looks like.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean that the goal isn't a common goal.
Yeah.
People just and that's okay for people to have different ideas of what that looks like.
Yeah.
It's okay for people to have different ideas of what that success and the path to success looks like.
Exactly.
It's still always important to remember that like the everyone's goal here is success for the kid and is the kid's well-being, whether it's an infant, whether it's a student in school.
Yeah.
And I think sometimes that gets lost a lot, and that's can be
the well-being of the child. Like, how are they feeling? Like, are they, and that's what I love about baby massages, that it's a paradigm shift. Because I was a very full-time like editor. I came home from the hospital literally that day. I was working in the hospital because I was always working for myself, and I was managing a magazine. And I was such a control freak. I didn't even know I was a control freak. I thought I was a real hippy dippy, kind of, which I one part am, but then another part apparently very controlling. And so I didn't know that I was going to really need to learn flexibility, patience. Like as a teacher, you have all those skills much more than I probably did, because I was just this, like workaholic, and like independent. Just like everything was about me, 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 and then you realize that it's a huge paradigm shift. You have to surrender to the universe. You have to surrender to your children. That you can't dictate how they're going to turn out. You can do your best. You can learn as much as you can about child development, and that's great. But again, don't, as long as you're happy, they're happy, and and there's no danger to them, they'll be fine.
I love that.
And they'll thrive.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Part of me is like, that's really good, and I want to end on that, but I also want to open the floor to like anything else that you feel like needs to be covered, whether it's other misconceptions or other advice or tips, tricks, anything that you feel like we haven't touched on,
Yeah.
that you're like, no, this is important. We need to talk about this.
I just feel like,
Okay, good.
feel
I
like
thought that
touched
was a
on
good
everything.
spot.
Yeah.
But I wanted to make sure, because I don't know
I
about
know.
this field, and so I didn't want to be like,
No, but
oh,
I have
that's
no
everything.
expectations about where things should go. So I'm like,
Okay.
I
No,
know,
I love that.
except that it's Love Week,
I love
and
that
that
so
it's all
much.
about love, and just loving yourself, and then
That's
it's the
beautiful.
same thing. Like, it's all about your relationship to yourself.
Yes, absolutely.
Everything starts there.
I love it.
Yeah,
I love that
but
so
it is
much.
really hard when you become a mom, because you're just like, your whole sense of self changes.
Yes. I can't even
And
imagine.
you have to kind of start retraining yourself to, because I'm like, I loved myself when I was single, and I was in the city, and I was dating, and I'm like, this is a whole
It
different.
all changes. I can't even
And
imagine.
I gained 90 pounds with each child.
Oh my gosh.
90. I was like, what?
That's crazy. That's a lot.
I don't know what happened. It's just
Not that it's bad. It's not
No,
bad.
it's a lot.
It's just different.
It's
I can't even imagine what that body
It's like-
dysmorphia would look like. That's crazy.
I was like, it was like carrying my 12-year-old. He's 90 pounds.
Wow.
So it's like carrying like him on my back all day. It was a lot. But I don't know why. My body just did that. Again, like, that's life.
No, I learned so much. This is so fascinating.
Are you sure
And
it's interesting?
Oh my God, yeah,
Okay.
absolutely. And like, where can people find you online? Like, what are your handles?
Yeah, so I'm a Call Me. The name is pronounced Call Me, but it's KAHLMI.com.
Okay.
And on Instagram, I'm Get Call Me.
That's so cute.
And TikTok, Call Me, and Facebook, all the places. And yeah, so it's all about creating calm in the household.
Holistic calmness. I
yes.
love that.
Yeah, it's
No,
all-
I learned so much. This is so fascinating.
So-
I'm ready to be like the superhero cool Auntie Bex.
Yes.
And like show up to all my friends' houses and be like,
Well,
I can help. I
I'm gonna
got this.
give you my
oh, thank you.
101 baby
Oh,
hacks.
I love it.
So it's just helping parents
Oh, thank you.
helping them.
I'll put the
really-
description or I'll put the link to this in the description.
Yeah, it's just helping them, like, really quick information, because who has time to like read and like a whole book? So it's like every page there's a hack for teething, there's a hack for everything.
I'm gonna praise you for a second, because I literally just flipped to a random page and it said "fed is best," and I just thank you.
Oh yeah. So lactation, right?
Well, I again, I have a lot of friends that are having babies right now, and so seeing some of them, I've had friends that have had issues pumping.
Okay.
I've had friends whose children, like one of my
I forgot
best
to tell
friends.
you that. Go ahead.
Oh no,
I
you're
wanted to tell you that this could be used as a lactation massager.
Oh,
Yeah.
I
So I'm
love
gonna
that.
send you whatever. Anyway, just let me know and I'll send you a new one.
Yeah,
brand new
whatever
one.
works.
Yeah.
Well, so I one of my best friends had like a little internal crisis because her child has milk sensitivity.
Okay.
And so she can't,
Can't beat him.
not only does she have to change her diet
Right.
so that the milk that he can drink is good for him,
Yeah.
but also he sometimes will have to have a very specific kind of formula,
Yeah.
because if she deviates from the diet, or if she can't produce enough, like he can't have
He has to eat.
regular donated breast milk, and so there was like an internal stress, and it's like Is your baby fed?
Yeah.
Is he being fed?
Yeah,
Okay.
as long as
That's
like,
what matters. That's what
pretty
matters.
much
Okay.
talk about.
And I can't stand I talked to a postpartum nurse about this, and we talked about fed is best, and we talked about how harmful it is for people to shove the idea of, oh, but breast is best, blah 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 blah, like natural, whatever whatever, no formula.
Yeah.
And I couldn't get people in the comments to understand that it doesn't matter if you're saying, well, of course fed is best, but if you have the choice, no, you're still shaming.
Yeah.
You're still making people unable to do that,
Raising one over the
feel
other.
bad.
Yeah.
You're still telling them, well, if they have a choice, well, sometimes they don't, but now they feel bad for not having the choice.
Right.
So you have to stop.
Just
cut
don't-
it out.
Yeah.
Keep
It's
your
just too
comments to
much.
yourself.
It's too much.
Mind your business. Fed is best.
That is
period.
best.
Because anything other than that answer is making moms who do not have another
so
option
crazy.
feel like they're not
They're
doing enough.
failing.
And they
Like-
don't always have that option.
No.
You got to get over yourself.
It's such
And
a
just
big
keep your
thing.
mouth shut.
Nursing is such a luxury.
Some people just don't know how to mind their business, and
No.
it's so sad.
Please. I mean, that's the road to everything is paved
Ooh.
with people's opinions.
Always. But
Everyone.
I
Oh my
learned
gosh.
so much. I
Oh my
value
gosh,
this so
good.
much.
I'm so. It was so great talking
No,
to you.
thank you
'cause
for all of that. I love learning new things. And
I know you did.
I hope everyone else, whether they were just fascinated or intrigued or obsessed or like found something that they could actually apply to their kids.
Yeah.
Like I love episodes like these. I love
Oh.
episodes where I just learn so much.
Good.
I think it's so helpful.
Yeah,
Like,
no, I'm so excited, and it's just been real, like, because I've been, as a founder, it's so like, even though you're starting your own company, you're building. There's such an education piece,
yes.
and and like we just got into Target, which is super exciting. and Nordstrom.
Congratulations.
Yeah, but it's like it's really hard,
Yeah.
being an entrepreneur, and especially with the product business where you're trying to educate people on why it's important. So
Yeah.
I'm so grateful to you because
Oh my God,
bringing
yeah.
that awareness of it is so super.
It betters the world. Why not?
Yeah, and-
Absolutely.
Yeah, we do have a mission, and then the more people know about it, the better, the more tools they have.
Absolutely. It takes a village.
Yes,
It really does. Sometimes people in that village are people you've never met before.
Exactly.
So absolutely. Thank you so much for
Thank
hanging out
you.
with me.
So fun.
And
You're
thank
so
you
much
guys for hanging out with us today. I hope you guys are just as obsessed as I am with these educational episodes. But I hope you all have a great rest of your day, and we'll see y'all next week. Bye, my lovelies.